let's talk about metadata and keywording. We'll do this all in one demo. So I'm back in my catalog, or I'm still in my catalog if you just watched the last demo. And I am going to add some metadata to these images. Specifically, I'm going to add copyright information. You are the copyright holder on all the images that you create. And so it's my belief, and quite a few people's belief, that you should add your copyright information to the metadata so that if anybody wants to find out who took the photo, they have all that possibility to do. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're also going to talk about keywording, which are both over here in the right-hand panel of the library module. So let's talk about our metadata first. And when you open up the metadata panel over here, you can see it gives you your file name. It tells you what folder the image is in. It tells you when the file was photographed. It gives you the dimensions of it. That's all the default stuff. I can go to the EXIF data, and it'll not only tell me the date and time that it was photographed, but it'll also tell me the exposure, shutter speed and f-stop, the lens that I used, exposure value if it was changed, the ISO, whether the flash went off. There's a ton of information in here. What we're really going to be looking at is this Iptc information, and specifically this section of it down here, which is all about copyright. And I'm going to show you just the bare minimum of what to add for your copyright data. You can go further and look at more data, more metadata, but I just want to kind of show you copyright because it'll give you an idea of how to set it up and how to kind of deal with it. So in order to do that, we're going to create a preset. And so right here at the top of the metadata panel, there's a preset pull-down menu. And right now it says none, and then it says edit. You can also go all the way up here to the menu at the top of the screen, and you can say edit metadata presets. They'll both get you to the same place. I'm going to do it from right here. If you haven't realized it yet, I am a big proponent of finding something in a contextual menu or a pull-down menu right where I need it, or using a keyboard shortcut in order to get there. So we say edit presets, and it brings up this dialog box, and it gives us this preset that's called custom. Now we can put in here whatever things we want. Like I said, I'm going to show you sort of the minimum, this Iptc copyright section. But you can look at a lot of these other sections and you can say, oh, I could fill in that information, or I want to fill in that information, and feel free to. I would recommend that you keep your copyright preset as just a copyright preset, and you can create other metadata presets for other data that you may want to add to your image. So for right now, we're going to deal with the copyright, or really more specifically, these three red elements that are here. And so under copyright, I am going to put in my name because I want to add my copyright. And on the Mac, I'm going to type, holding down the Option key, I am going to type a G, and that gives me the little copyright symbol. And so once I have that, I'm going to type my name. And so now I have established that this image is copyright me. I'm going to change the copyright status to copyrighted. And under copyright info URL, I am going to put my website. You could put an email address in here. You could put your website. You could put a link to your social media. Basically, think of this as some way for them to get a hold of you, to inquire you about maybe about usage or utilizing a copyrighted image. And so those are the three things that I want to save and change in there. Now, once I've added this information, I can come up to here where it says custom, and right below custom, there is a menu item that says save current settings as a new preset. And when I click on that, it wants me to name my preset. And I am going to call it copyright. And I'm going to hit create. And now I can say done. And you can see that I can select an image, and I'll scroll down here and you'll see that under copyright, it doesn't have any of my information. But if I scroll up and I click on my preset and I say copyright, and now I scroll down, it's added all of my copyright information into my image. Now, that image has it, but the next image doesn't. So I can select this image and hold down Shift and select the last image, and then the sync button will get lit up and I can hit sync. And it's going to come up and ask me what I want to sync, and it shows me the information, and I say synchronize, and it'll now put that metadata across all the images. So if I go to this last image, you can see that the copyright information is in there. So you can apply this copyright information to as many or as few images as you want at any time in your catalog. I'm going to show you something else real quick about that metadata preset. If I go to my import dialog, and you can see that this is where I would bring in my images. I can add my images or import them directly. On the right-hand side under Apply during import, there's a metadata section with a pull-down menu, and I can add my copyright right here. In other words, every image that I bring in this import dialog will automatically have copyright added to it. You can see the keywords are down there as well, and we're going to talk about keywords in just a second. So that's kind of a great way to get your copyright on every image you bring into Lightroom. So that's our metadata. Now the next thing that we're going to do is keywording. So above the metadata, there's these keyword tags, and we can think of keywords as like hashtags, searchable phrases that we can come back and look at. And I can keyword my images one by one. So like on this one, I could put house, and I can put a comma, and I can add another one. I'll say sunlight, and I'll put a comma, and then I'll say Old Town, because that's where it's at. And if I hit return, it's going to apply those keywords to this image. And if I click on the next image, those keywords go away. And when I click back on this image, it shows them to me. Now, you may have noticed when I click on the next image, it gives me keyword suggestions. So Lightroom uses a little bit of artificial intelligence to try to say, other images that you have in this folder that are associated with this image that were shot at the same time as this image have these keywords. Maybe you want to use these keywords. And so I'll look at this one and I'll say, yeah, that's sunlight, that's Old Town, that's a house. And then I'm also going to put a comma and say shadows, because there's nice shadows that are going on in this one too. And if I hit enter, it will enter that in. Now I can go to the next one, and you can see now it suggests all of them. And this one I'll say is a house, and it's Old Town, but it's not really sunlight, and it's not really about the shadows. I mean, the whole thing is in shadow, but there's a tree. And so now I can do comma tree. Right? And so I can just sort of add these keywords as I go. And now if I click on the next one, house, Old Town, tree, and you can see you can just kind of go through it. And this is one by one. Not really the easiest way to do it. The other thing I could do is I could say that's a house, that's a house. Maybe those are the only other houses that I have. And so I have two of them selected, and I selected those by clicking on one, and then on the Mac, holding down the Command key and clicking on the other one. And then I can say house, let's say, oh, they both have trees, so we'll say tree. We'll say Old Town. And then I can sort of click off and back onto one of them, and I can say sunlight. So you can see how you can kind of group these up. You can add any keywords that you want. What I want you to do for your first assignment is I want you to bring in your images. I want you to add your copyright, and I want you to add some keywords. And those keywords can be anything at all. I'm not grading you on what your keywords are. I'm grading you on the fact that the keywords exist. But the keywords are for your benefit. Right now, it doesn't seem too important because we have 20 images. But imagine when we've amassed 1,000 images or 10,000 images. Keywords can suddenly become very powerful, because it'll allow us to really search and find our images fast. So we've done some keywords. There are also keyword sets that you can do down here, and you can kind of bring up some presets, or you can create your own set of keywords. You can edit a set and you can put in all the keywords. So if you have keywords that you use all the time, then you can add a keyword set, and that way it's one click and it adds all those keywords to your image. So that's metadata and keywording.